Okay, Kesh, we're in part 2 now. Part 1 was pretty cool. Good to hear that you're a fat boy and you couldn't pass your fitness test. It's interesting, because now you're a guy who's like hectic into fitness and stuff. And I just wanted us to go back to when you just finished school. Obviously, as you mentioned in part 1, that you just missed out on the SN19 team, but you're still in a good space because you're involved with the P team. Tell us about the transition during that period for you to say, now I'm full-blown professional, everything on mine needs to go according to plan, I need to make sure that I'm focused, and I need to be the ultimate professional.
Yeah, look, I think from the age of 19 to say 22, I lost myself quite a bit. I think also I got left out from the Natal B side in that period, and I was at the academy. We were training and stuff, and I used to have a few drinks now and then, just for up a year. I used to find a way of comforting myself, but mostly eating. At the time, I used to eat at like midnight, go out, live basically what you want to do when you come out of school.
Yes.
I want to have the best free life because no exams. Enjoy life, varsity college, you're going there, chill in the bar the whole day, play pool.
Yeah.
Everyone's human, right? But I also think it used to mask a lot of pain because I didn't know how to deal with failure at the time. Failure in the sense that being left out of the side, might play the game here, don't know what you're doing. I was dominating club cricket, which still gave me a bit of direction that you still need to go to this place. And then look, I did end up playing for the Dolphins on my 20th birthday. I got a one T20 year against the Warriors. Look, I won't talk about performance, but it didn't go according to plan as what anyone would have liked in their debut, but is what it is. Ended up playing a 4-day game that season as well, but then never played much for the next 2 years. And I remembered coming back into at 21, I was playing more regularly for the B side as well, but because also we had a lot of spinners with the Dolphins at the time. And I was doing really well with bat and ball at the time. Still overweight. I think eating, and I stopped drinking at like 20, 21, 20, around there completely. But my eating was a problem. Eating odd times, eating the wrong things, the quantities you eat, the amount of sugar I used to drink, and ice cream, pizza, Coke, you name it, I used to have it. And then I remember there was a time where they signed 2 more spinners, and I was like, what's going on here? Doing like dominating B-side cricket with bat and ball. Why are you guys signing more spinners? I remember going into the CEO's office at the time, no names mentioned, asking for your 2-year contract because I'm dominating B-side cricket, and I wasn't asking for money. It was just about the security of 2 years, which I felt in my head. Maybe people felt differently, but I hadn't been given enough I hadn't been given a franchise opportunity that year afterwards to say that I'd warrant a 2-year contract. But when I was playing cricket representing the union, I was dominating. I wasn't just taking 3 wickets or so. I was taking like 5, 6 wickets a game. And the CEO didn't want to give it to me, and I remember I was actually quite rude in the meeting because I was like so upset, like what more must I do to just get an opportunity? That was the biggest thing for me, an opportunity. And I remember he said, if you don't want to sign, we'll sign someone else. So I was like, take your contract and go fly a kite. Done. Bang the door. And it so happened my dad was my agent at the time, so he stayed back. And my dad drilled the CEO saying, look, you're actually pushing a youngster who's passionate about what he does away because you don't know how to, And he came home that day, but he never said much to me. He waited for a week because he could see emotionally I was proper gone. Like I remember that training week, I didn't end up going for training. I used to just be at home. I used to bowl against the wall and like thinking, what do I do? Started making some calls to England to play club cricket, maybe try qualify over there, paint on a Sunday as to supplement some income. So it was tough. It was really tough mentally. And then when my dad saw that like I was broken, he came to me like, look, take the 1-year contract. Take it. It's extra year of income. Give it one last chance. and you never know what may happen. So I was like, yeah, but Dad, how much more? He's like, sometimes in life, some people got to do it harder for longer, but it will last longer in the long run. Anyway, carried on. And then Lance Klusner became coach at the time. And played a regular amount of white ball cricket, because when I started, I was deemed a white ball cricketer before a 4-day cricketer. No, like 4-day cricket, people would be like, I don't even know what
So
that is.
sorry, Kesh,
Yeah.
I have to stop you
Yeah.
there. That period when you weren't playing a lot of Dolphins games, and we've spoken about this before, is that you were 12th man a lot of the time.
Yeah,
And you
carried-
weren't.
Carried
Yes.
drinks 21 times before I played my first Dolphins game. That's why, like, when youngsters come and be like, I shouldn't be carrying drinks, it irks me. I'll be like, champ, 21 times. I can tell you how much Powerade to mix to get the perfect mix.
Yeah.
Tell you how much Coke and water, where on the label you need to mix. Like, I know it in and out. And look, it's not ideal, but even when I was 12th man, I still tried to be the best 12th man. In my head, I still wanted to be the best, despite my challenges that I had faced. And I think it reached a stage where I remember Lance Klusner, he became coach. And that pre-season, he told me that, Kesh, if you want to be in my team for a long period of time, play all 3 formats, you need to lose 5 kgs of weight. I was 87 kgs.
Yes.
All he wanted me to get was to 82, because it did impact in my game from a fielding, longevity, whatever we want to call it. And I can't physically prove that, but in my head I know it's part and parcel why I was probably left out previously. And I ended up going to England that year. And because I loved cricket so much, and I think the change of environment was crucial for me,
Yes.
where fitness was not a criteria. I had so much free time on my hands. People loved me. They just wanted me to do well. And I think it meant a lot. And I did really well over there. I know it's club cricket, but also from my physical point of view, I used to wake up every morning, plan my meals, eat a calorie-based thing, and in line with what Zaf had given me from a program point of view. And look, in 8 weeks, I lost 16.5 kgs. And in my head, that was one of the biggest moments in my life.
16 and a half.
16.5 kgs. That's from just pure eating. And yeah, training was always the same.
And you noticed
Every day I got onto the scale and I saw whether it be 100 grams every day, I saw a change. Eventually, from 80s it went to the 60s. I was like, there's something wrong with the scale. And I remember that night before my dad came to visit me, I put on a pair of shorts, and as I took off, I tripped because my shorts fell straight off. The drawstring didn't even tie. And I think from a self-confidence point of view, it gave me everything that I needed. It was very difficult in those 4 years. I had man boobs, big, round, proper dad bod. And see your David Miller's stuff, guys with 6-packs,
Yeah,
taking
yes.
their shirt off. I used to change in the change room, in the toilets, not like where the guys are, because I was embarrassed. I'm being honest. It was, mentally it scarred me, like beyond one would think.
You can't change in front of the
You
guys.
can't change, but imagine you expect to have chicks and stuff like that, and you take your shirt off. I can't change in front of a guy. You know, how am I going to
Yeah,
take my shirt off?
yeah.
Be like, oh, I'm going to go swimming in the beach with a shirt on. You know? So that gave me the self-confidence, came back, but I still didn't know where I stood with cricket in terms of the Dolphins. And I remembered they had signed Shamsi at the time. That hurt me even more. But luckily I had this newfound confidence in me at the time. And
This is when you come back from England.
you've come back from England, right?
Yes.
And I remember they picked him for a 4-day game. And I was playing a B-side game, and the 4-day game was in Maritzburg. And they dropped him there, and I was gone to the change room to get ready in my whites. I get a pat on my back and be like, no, you're not playing, Shamsi's playing. So I got dropped, like literally just before the toss. And I'm like, what the hell is this? I remember I walked home that day. I walked home. I was like, Simon, what is this? Like, I'm sorry, I can't do anything. This is the orders from the top. Like, that hurt me. And I'm not afraid to say what I'm going to say now, in the sense that when other spinners played ahead of me, I wanted them to fail because I just wanted that opportunity. And after like, I'd say a month or one competition, I realized that it's actually not the way to go about things, because I'm setting myself and my career backwards. Because when you did get your opportunity, you're so tense to make an impact that you forget about doing what got you to that position. And the day I started being happy for someone else's performance, I saw my own performance go up and my own skill level go up. And look, it's hard. It's not easy, because if you and I are competing, obviously one of us want to be in the front.
That's
so
true,
whoever
yeah.
goes forward, the other guys think, shit, this bra must fail so I can go through. It's the reality of human nature. And what I did was like, look, okay, I'm going to do, every time I get dropped, I'm going to do something to better myself and my skill that no one can have an excuse to touch me. Whether that's fielding, whether it's catching, whether it's batting, whether it's developing a new ball, whatever, I'm going to do it. And I think that's where my work ethic started to go like through the roof. But also I love bowling. I genuinely love spin bowling, so I didn't have an issue. And I'm not going to lie, people will say you're joking, but I used to bowl 40, 50 overs a day. Didn't have an issue. Didn't have a car at stage, so I used to run from home, which is 10 k's away, come back, sometimes get a lift, or run, and might get picked up by my dad on the road somewhere. But that's what it meant to me to bowl, to anyone. Even if I used to come here and get hit for 10 sixes, I didn't care. I loved bowling. And I always knew I'll always win the battle if I get you out. But yeah, just to, on that point, when I started being happy for everyone else's successes, I saw my own cricket grow. And then I remember finished that pre-season, got my first proper full season with the Dolphins at the time. And yeah, ended up leading wicket taker, blah blah blah. Did it for 2 years. Sorry, I don't know if I'm jumping the gun now.
Yeah.
So, okay, cool. So I'll stop there.
Yeah. No, so I want to understand, you obviously come back from England. There's a little bit more confidence. You learn to be happy for other people, which for me is something that I'm glad you brought up, because I feel a lot of people aren't like that.
It's huge in team sport.
Yeah,
Guys don't understand the importance of your mate's success is your success. Because the worst thing is if you get 100 or a fiver and no one else is happy for you, it kills you inside. It absolutely irks you. And look, it's not easy. Everyone wants to be the main guy. It's the reality of the situation. Let's not lie to each other. But you'll be the main guy if you're happy for someone else as well. And if your team is winning, you only go down as the trophies you won. If you score 100 in the final and you lose, no one remembers you.
Yeah, that's very true.
If you get 30 in the final and you won the trophy, hey, Duzi won a trophy.
Yeah, and you get more people, backing you, knowing that you are part of a winning
100%.
team.
100%.
Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. But and then it's a very beautiful journey in terms of finally now you get a full season with the Dolphins, and you do pretty well with that. And then how do we now get into the mix of playing higher honors?
After that season, my first season, Lance sat me down and be like, Kesh, you have a skill that South African cricket is looking for. And he also showed me and taught me about professionalism, because when he played, he was proper professional. I mean, he was fit, he's strong, he was in good nick. And he showed me avenues and told me various things at the time, what I need to do if I want to play for South Africa. But he just said to me, just take care of your performances and you will get noticed, with both bat and ball in hand. And I started to take my batting a lot more seriously. Look, if I have to fast track, I probably haven't put the numbers that I know I'm capable of. But at that time, I thought I was in a really good space from an all-rounder perspective. And just worked relentlessly hard. And I always believed in working alone from a young age, because through the various trial and errors of people saying this about you behind your back and stuff, I realized when you're on the field, you have the ball in hand. There's no one next to me. No one can physically bowl the ball besides myself. And I've got to learn. Everyone questioned my action at the time, because I used to bowl from so wide and do this and do that. And I had to figure things out for myself, because I'm in my body. you're not in my body. You can tell me what to do, but I've got to find a way of finding to do that because I'm physically doing it, you know, if you get what I'm saying. So, yeah, he showed me what professionalism is about. And I think as a youngster, you've got to understand you have dreams. But you also got to be a realist. You may not always achieve your dreams. And never thought I'd play for South Africa. Always dreamt of playing for South Africa. And yeah, I think the next 2 years I had pretty good seasons. I was fortunate enough to have a good bowling attack around me as well. I can't deny that. You know, they strike up front, which makes the spinner's life generally a little bit easier. And when conditions were in my favor, I'd do the, you know, reciprocate in the same manner for them. I was terrified though, I'm not going to lie. I remember facing Mashant in that one series. He hit my head, it landed this much short of the boundary rope. I was like, wow, okay, welcome to franchise cricket, buddy. My first franchise game, I ducked my first ball, which was a half volley. Luckily, it wasn't on the stumps. Just because all this hype about everything.
Yes.
But then, yeah, look, 2 years later, can I speak about, 2 years later, we were playing in East London. Got, I think, 70 runs in the first innings. I got a 7 for in that day, whatever, and then chilling at supper with Imran Khan, who was my roommate at the time.
Yeah, Imran, currently the Dolphins coach.
Yeah. I was like, okay, Linda Zondi, what's going on here? So I was like, coach, you mistakenly dialed the wrong number here. What? He's like, where are you? I'm like, no, I'm in East London. He's like, no, well done. So your performance is today. He's like, are you near anyone? I was like, I was just sitting with Imi and one of the friends. He's like, okay, can you chat? So I just got up, got to the table. He's like, no, I've got some news for you. Okay, what news you gonna have for me now? And he's like, no, I need you to make sure that you get your passport. I was like, what is there a spin camp coming up or something? He's like, no, you're going to Australia. I was like,
Going to Australia?
Yeah. It's like, for what? He's like, no, there's a tour. And to track back 3 months before that, we were playing a SA tour in Zimbabwe, and I never played any game bar the last 4-day game. And I remember that day I was on 3 wickets in the night, ran through the top order. I never bowled a ball for the rest of the game, and that broke me. And Mali Bongwe was the coach, and he put his hand around me. He's like, Kesh, keep going. No one can stop you from achieving what you want. And I was like, it really hurt me. I'm not gonna lie. SAA, you get a chance, you run through, you do the dirty work up front, you don't bowl a ball for the rest of the game, and part-time spinners were bowling ahead of me. I was like, no, something's not right here. And then a week later, we left to Australia for a tour, and before I left, I said to Mali Bongwe, Mali, you know, am I going to play a game on this tour? And he said, Kesh, do you want the honesty? I said, yes. He says, you're not playing any game. I said, Coach, that's all I want you to know, and I appreciate that. And I used Australia as an opportunity to rub shoulders with ex-players because Ashwin Prince was the coach at the time. And there were a few guys that were around playing international cricket, so I used any opportunity to pick their brains. And I remember Ashwin spending 2-3 hours a day when I was 12 man and throwing balls to me, working on spin, working on things. So I'm very grateful for people like that who weren't shy, who weren't shy to invest in someone like me in terms of their time. He could have been watching the game, being the convener of selectors, but he wanted to make me better. And I remember I used to take the balls and bowl for 4 hours, wake up at 5 in the morning, do my gym work so that I can get the extra time with my skill work during the day. But it was such a productive tour that 3 days before we could leave, I got an email from CSA saying that you have to report to Joburg. There's a national camp. So I'm thinking, okay, New Zealand are coming down. They probably just need someone to replicate Mitchell Santner. And there was this massive culture camp, and I was like, God gracious, whatever. Because now I don't know the stuff that's been gone on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
AB de Villiers, I remember I was sitting across AB looking at camp, the things going on here. I'm looking at AB thinking, this guy is my hero.
Yeah. I want to talk about that. Yeah.
How do I ask this guy for autograph without being like, you know?
Yeah,
and I remember I was like, hello, AB, I'm Kesh. He's like, hey, Kesh, how are you? I'm like, you know my name, champ. Like, you know, like small things like that. And it was a room full of like 50 people. And like, yeah, jeepers, it meant a lot to me. And then Russell Domingo was the coach at that time, and I remember I played SAA in 2010, sorry. And he said to me, I'll play a game. I don't think he rated me very much at the time. Yeah, I was young or what have you. So I don't know where I stood with him. And even went to National Academy with Mari Bongwe and Adri Swanepoel, who was one of the nicest human beings you find. And I did well on the tour, and he said to me, Kesh, you will play for South Africa. He just told me that. And I was very grateful to people for that. But anyway, onto the camp. Come to Durban, because the first test was in Durban.
Yeah.
Come to Kingsmead for the first, bowling in Kingsmead nets, because the practice was here. She was nervous. I thought I was on a trial. But meanwhile, I was just a net bowler. Hit the side net, hit this net. And eventually I was like, okay, calm down now. And about okay. But I know I could do a lot better than that.
This is for the SA camp?
Yeah, SA camp. But I was just a net bowler at the time, after this whole culture camp.
Yes.
But still, I was like, I don't know what the word culture means here. And it was deep. Guys were crying there, and I was like, yo, am I missing something here? And me being naive.
Yes, I was just about to say.
But look, for me, it was more a case of sitting around a fire with AB de Villiers,
yes,
Amla,
yes.
Faf du Plessis, Dale Steyn, those type of guys, and there's Keshav Maharaj there. Can't even make the SAE team on the thing, But yeah, then came here bowled. I was still I was nervous, bro. The first time you think you want to do anything. The next day I was in Chatsworth. They had a middle practice, and it's the best spell I ever bowled in my life. I'll never forget that day. I picked the ball up. I was like, this ball feels nice. And normally, you don't get turfs, brand new turfs in Ari when you train them domestically.
Yeah.
And I was bowling. I remember Stephen Cook was facing, and I think I got him out 3 times in 4 balls. But Schnick, LBW, bowled. Like that, not I'm having a slog.
Yes.
And then Kuni came onto bat, and I cleaned Kuni up 3 or 4 times. He didn't know what, and I was like, jeepers. And then the guys were like, I remember Faf said to Prasanna at the time, the video analyst, she's like, who's this guy? And I bowled to Faf, got him out a few times. Hashima got out, and I was like, jeepers, why couldn't this be a match situation?
Yeah. You cleaned up the top guys.
The top guys, yeah. But it just felt so natural and normal. And look, I still didn't think too much of it, but I knew I had raised a few eyebrows in the sense that, who is this kid at the time? And obviously Dane Pitt was the leading spinner at that time, and he was doing really, really well and what have you. And that's when the call-up came for South Africa, literally a month later after the series. It's amazing how things can happen so quickly, from leaving your contract on the table to fast track 2-3 years later, where you're thinking, jeepers, I'm getting a call up for South Africa, But even having said that, it hadn't sunk in yet, because we were still playing a 40 game in Joburg. Yeah, I thought, you're going there, maybe they just want to see what you like, back up because it's far.
Yeah.
Wada. And I was the only spinner on the camp with Shamsi. I was like, okay. Australia fast bowlers, JP doing ball spin.
Yeah.
Drinks, keep your mouth shut and go. Yo, get on the flight. And then we start training. I was like, jeepers, this is proper intensity. That's something that franchise cricket, I feel, needs to start replicating, so that the transition's not that high. I mean, not that much in terms of bridging the gap.
Yes.
And it's easier to transition. And we were based in Adelaide. I remember we had a night practice. It was night practice. Yo, you flying here. And it so happened that there was going to be a ping ball game in.
Yes,
so we started with the ping ball training before we went into the red ball, because the red ball was building up to that. You're facing a ping ball under lights. And I remember, first thing, Neil McKenzie there, bounces. You're only facing bounces. Yo, this is cool. And me too, no arm guard, no thing. They're like, come here, boy. Borrow my arm guard and diaper. First ball on the arm guard. It's like, thank you. Yeah. So look, even though I was on that tour, I didn't expect to play. I remember we played the day night game, the ping ball game, like a warm up game against the Adelaide team, and I got 18 runs in more time. I was hitting the ball properly. But now Hashim was always there hyping me, Hashim and Vern hyping me. Now, you can feel like you're in T20 mode.
Yeah.
And I batted nicely that night, and then we were fielding, and I did my hammy. And so when my dad got on the tell a call up, he broke his finger and never got full that. In my head, I started playing that. Is this gonna happen to you? Like, have you done your thing now? You're gonna get sent home. Your tour hasn't even started. Wada. Anyway, I went and saw the physio. He's like, no, the next morning he had me on the treadmill running. I was like, jeepers, Batman. I mean, saw you. But Jacko was the physio at the time. He's like, no, you'll be fine. 6 days. And luckily enough, we went on like a 3-week tour before that. I was still very reserved because I knew Hashim and Vernon very well, and I must say full credit to them because they took me under their wing. I mean, Hashim being a local boy and Vern, I've had interactions, but he's always been someone who's so humble and down to earth, even to date. He's a very close friend of mine. But I was very intimidated because I felt nobody knew who I was. They just saw me bowling once or twice. But when guys have been in the system for long, they generally like chill together, and there I was. So I was always like, if I wasn't with Hash, then I was by myself in my room, just chilling or going out by myself, getting some food, coming back in. And I remember Faf, we used to have this ceremony, I wouldn't say a ceremony, like this gathering where Monet and Faf would like put you on the thing and get to know you about that. So it was about me and Shamsi, but obviously Shamsi had played international cricket before, so he fitted in a little bit easier than I did. I remember Faf came to me and spoke to me in the first net session after that, and he's giving me tips, but I felt more comfortable. And then played the next warm-up game in Adelaide, and we scored like 400 and something. So now you think, mosquito these guys, got like 25 or something. I was piping, and the spinners came on. I was piping, and I was telling Aisha, pipe the spinner. And then they came to bat. Jeepers, did they play shots? And then Fast like, there's a ball. I was like, but in the first change, I don't want to bowl a receiver yet. But like, I bowled, like how I bowled at Chatsworth today. I ended up getting like 3 for 60, going at 2s or something. But guys were like, jeepers, who's this guy coming? Like the news reporters and stuff. Because
in Australia, and they love it.
They love it because like the greats were going at like 5s and 6s. Here's this Durban. Indian,
who's this youngster?
Durban Indian coming here to Australia, but it just like felt so nice. And for me, the biggest thing I grade myself on when bowling is the consistency. I don't care about outcomes.
Yes,
it's how I feel and where the ball's landing, because I can only control that.
Yes,
I can't control the batsman's strokes or his head or whatever the case is. All I can do is focus on where I'm landing the ball, and I was so consistent. And obviously, I always say Faf is probably the best leader I've ever played under, simply because he's so calm, he's very collective, he's very open-minded, but he has an amazing cricket brain. He reads situation. I suppose it comes with experience and stuff, but his demeanor makes you feel calm. And I think that helped me, and it also opened my eyes up to what it is like to be a leader. I've always wanted to be a leader, and I had opportunity at the time to captain the Dolphins a few times. But look, leadership can be misconstrued. If you win a game, you think you're a good leader.
That's true. That's true.
And how you are to your people don't really care.
Yes, we're winning, so that makes me a good captain.
It's not the case.
It's not the case.
And just the way he carried himself off the field, the way he spoke, his appearance, that sort of thing. It's stuff that you can actually learn so much from, and I was fortunate to have first-hand experience. Anyway, got into a press interview. I was like, so Larato was at the media lady at the time. She's going to a press call. I was like, for me, do they know who I am? Do they know my name? And the first question was like, are you going to play on this? I'm like, champion, jeepers, I'm just caught you as a tour. I was like, look, I don't know about that. That's left to the selectors and the captain. I don't know anything about playing. I'm just here to enjoy my opportunities and learn as much as I can. And then we moved over to Perth, where we trained for 3 days. And I remember Vernon's like, hey, what's wrong? He's like, you ready? I was like, for what? It's like, you're gonna play? I'm like, Vern, tell me what you want to drink. I'm like, champ, shush. What are you talking about? You know, masala stories there. My uncle said the same thing because Vern was feeding him with information.
Yes.
And I'm like, ah. And look, Faf started asking plans and stuff. I'm thinking, why is this bra asking me plans? Yeah, is he trying to see what I'm about or what?
Yeah.
And then, like, just bowling, Alim Dar came and stood in the nets. I remember I was bowling to Stephen Cook and he ran down the wicket and hit his pads. And I was like, what's that? Just like, you know, you get pumped up. He's like, I'll give that out. I was like, yeah, sure, but yeah. That night we go back. Team meeting was at 6. It used to be like a Protea thing at 6 o'clock. His team meeting before the game. And I saw the cap, and like, you know, the whole procedure that we do when we when someone, and they're like, guys, you know, huddle up and we're gonna announce the team. And then Hashim takes the cap and he starts speaking, and he's giving this amazing speech, like proper amazing speech. And then he looks at me. I'm like, shit, I think I am playing tomorrow then. Yeah, it was emotional, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I bawled my eyes out in front of everyone, like thinking, jeep, it was like, wow, Kesh, this is what you've worked on all your life.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm feeling like emotional now, but like, I had to like pinch myself to realize that you've got your first destination sorted. Like, you know, this is your first big thing in your life that's just happened. And I remember I sat that night in my room after I phoned my parents. My parents were like emotional. My dad was screaming. Like, I don't know what he was screaming, but he was screaming. And yeah, look, you just sit back and you replay the whole memory of all the ups and downs along the way, and you realize you've got your opportunity. And I said to myself, I'm not going to take this for granted. I said to myself that night, I want to play 100 test matches, because if I do that, I'm doing something right. And yeah, woke up the next morning, and a little did I know that we had to wear number 2s to the ground. Like, obviously I rock up downstairs in my training kit, and it's like 15 minutes before the ball, and the guy's like, where's your thing? I'm like, what thing? They're like, look at what we're wearing. I was like, ish. Sprint up the stairs, go. Then I forget my tackies. Run back up, made it in the nick of time, otherwise my meal allowance was gone for the tour. And it's a long tour. And a nice meal allowance there. Yeah. So go to the ground. Yeah, go do my pre-match routines, but like, it's massive now. Like, you don't feel energy in a ground like that.
Yes.
The franchise cricket is very different. Like, very, very, like, these guys are giants compared to me. You know, there's the crowds raving, there's a nice atmosphere, buzz, there's media on every part of the pitch. KP was there. Luckily I knew KP, so like, he greeted me, so I felt like special, like, hey, you know my name, you know, that type of thing.
You knew him from when he played for the Dolphins.
Yes, Shane Warne was there.
Shane Warne.
I was like, wow, this guy, yo. Like, I was like in a rabbit in front of a headlight.
Yeah.
Anyway, carried on, and we won the toss and we batted, and I think that was probably my saving grace, because it allowed my emotions to settle down at the time, watching the guys. But just when the guys, you see fire come on screen, 152, 150, I was like, ooh, okay. And we were in a bit of trouble. We ended up being like 160 or 150 for 7, and I walked into the bat with Quinny, and I was facing Mitchell Stark. And in my head, I'm like, okay, just don't duck the first ball on international TV like what you do in franchise cricket. I'm thinking, but where's he going to bowl the ball? I was like, something in me just said, get forward, you're going to be okay. And I remembered he bowled like, it's probably a half volley, but you know, he tends, I blocked it. And I said, yes, one. And then I said, no. And I almost got Kuni run out. Luckily, he didn't get run out. And I was like, sorry. He's like, no, it's cool. But like, I felt like relieved after that. Then faced a couple of balls, ducked a half a length ball, like swayed.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta act macho. Those guys are intimidating. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Then the next over, I remember I tried to punch one to cover, but I got slightly out the thicker half and beat Usman Khawaja at point. Went for 4. I was like, right, you in now. Yeah. Then it was fast. Franchise cricket is like 130, maybe the odd 140, but 150 is fast. And he looks in your ear, and the guy's like, yeah, kill him, hit him in the neck, hit him in the head. I'm thinking, bro, I don't even know you. What did I do to you? And then I remember I said to Kuni, I was like, Kuni, if I see anything short, I'm going here. He's like, yeah, play. But the ball like literally back over. Then I swung, tried to play a pull, and I caught it, but I heard the guy screaming, hey. So I look this way, I'm like, there's no ball there. I look up, there's no ball there, and I see the guys looking over there. And I was like, yo, 6. Then I went there.
Made it as if you knew.
Yeah, I just knew. And Kuni was laughing. I was like, yo. Yeah, look, and then something in me, I always said, when the spoon comes on, I'm ready to take this blood down. I remember first ball, came down the wicket, straightened this guy out. Now you're thinking, yeah, I can't score runs off the seamers here, I can't see anything. I'm all walking into the change room.
Yeah.
And then, so like, you know when the eyes are on you?
Yeah, on you. Like,
and lucky I was like, come on, the last one, I gave everyone the seat there, I'm there. And then Faf comes to me like, champ, there's a man back, you don't ever play that shot again. I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. He's like, cool. Got ball off for 220. They actually were 190 for no loss that night. I bowled 2 overs for like 13 runs or something to Warner. But the wind was counter-attacking me in a way, not to make excuses. He hit me for I think 2 or 3 fours, but I never felt out of depth. I actually felt like, jeepers, you actually belong here, even though the
yes,
but
yeah.
it felt nice. My first ball was a bit nervous, but I landed it nicely. I actually had an LBW shot, but obviously it was going down leg, but I felt like comfortable. Anyway, next morning, I think Dale Steyn gets Sean Marsh out, and then gets David Warner out on 97 or something like that, and then they go 202 or 190 or whatever for 2, and then Dale Steyn shoulder breaks. It was myself, KG, and Vern left as the 3 bowlers because Dale was the 4th one. So I'm thinking, Vern's gonna bowl there. Fast like, hey, I think me. He's like, yeah, come. And look, I think I never thought of where I was. I just pictured myself bowling to targets because that's all. Whenever I trained, did a lot of training bowling to targets.
Bowling
because
to targets, yeah.
I always believe that sometimes, look, it's nice to bowl to batters, but it's hard to practice something you want when they're practicing something else. And let's be honest, guys are going to have a slog, and it's not actually conducive for yourself.
Yeah, it's true.
Especially if you want to try and work on something. And I think that was something that really helped me, was the ability to just be alone and zone out. And I zoned out, put my cone on the wicket in my head, and I just bowled. And bowl. And I remember Steve Smith coming in, 3rd ball. Ran down the wicket, hit his pad, Alim Da.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, this guy gave it. And
That's your first wicket?
my first test wicket ever.
Is Steve Smith?
Yeah.
Yo,
And
dude,
I
that's
started
hectic.
that trend of running down, getting LBWs. Reviewed out. Cheers, taxi. But I think
Steve Smith, that's
Steve
pretty
Smith
cool,
is
yeah.
huge, number 1 batter in the world at the time. Look, it was huge for me. I didn't care even if it was a number 12 batter. My first wicket, And I think one of the more humbling and memorable experiences for me was every time I got to my mark and I looked up, I saw Hashim Amla at first look going like this.
Yes.
As a youngster, you don't know the impact that has on you. You really don't. Look, I was 26, so I wasn't that young, but in the context of the team, I was my first game. But that for me just calmed me down and allowed me to bowl. Then I remember I got 3 for in the first innings, whatever. Bowled, I think 40 overs or something, or 20 overs in that first innings. But I felt so comfortable and nice, and I was like, you belong here.
Purely based on Kesh,
not on performance.
Yes.
Just how I felt.
How you felt, yes.
I expected to be a lot more nervous. Look, to date, I still get nervous when I play cricket because it means something, and I want to do well all the time. But I think it's how quickly I can calm myself down in the situation that makes me a little bit more experienced than others. But at that time, it felt like I was in forgive me, and I don't mean this in an arrogant way, but it felt like I was bowling in a franchise game in terms of being as relaxed. I didn't care about who was on the other end. I just bowled, and I remember my job was to just bowl maidens upon maidens upon. And I think the first thing is I went at 1 point something, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, got off the field, and then guys were like, "No, you can go sleep now." I'm like, "Sleep? In the change room?" They're like, "Yeah, it's your recovery." And I remember I had those big things on, and I was passed out in front of everyone, but everyone allowed me to be myself, which directly impacted in my game and allowing me, because you're not tense anymore, and that's why I thought the empathy from Faf was something that any leader in the world can take out. He always understood you as a character, and he gave you that hand, but he also had a way of wanting to get the best out of you in terms of understanding your personality. Second innings, we went into bat. I had a lot more license when I batted. I remember the spinner came on, and like what Faf said to me went out the door. I was like, taking him down now, it's my time. I remember he took Lion down, ended up with 43 not out. We had declared, look, I would have loved to have got a 50 on test debut, but team first. And also being a bowler down, we needed enough opportunity to bowl. Even in the second innings, I only got 1 wicket, but I bowled and bowled. I just had to hold up an end while KG and Vern rotated from the other side, because they were the main bowlers. I was just there because we were 1 bowler down, only had 3 bowlers. And and I remember that I had no wickets and I was still bowling. Faf never threw the ball to anyone else. He still persisted with me. And I got the last wicket, and it meant so much to me that someone who didn't know me from above blue soap had the faith in me. And anyway, played the second one. We won the series over there, and little did I realize this is what it means to win and play against Australia.
Yes, the rivalry.
Duzi, man, I can't explain to you. Like, if you play against Australia tomorrow and you wake up and you're not motivated, there's something wrong with you. Give it up.
We know it's how big that series is.
Not only that, every time you play, you should have that feeling.
Yeah, you should.
Not just for that, but there's something about Australia that if your blood pressure is normally 150, it's going to go to 190 because you're in the fight. That's what you want. And also they're also aggressive characters. So we South African, we're not going to be like, you're going to come at the hook. Anyway, got back home. A lot of people were saying, "No, Sri Lanka's coming down. This is going to be Keshav's real test." And
now subcontinent.
Wada. So like in my head, I was like, okay, do I need to do anything differently? I was like, just bowl. Just keep your mouth quiet and bowl. And I think after playing that first game, and obviously before the game I said I want to play 100 test, I said I belong here. I need to be the main man. But one thing I said is I'm not going to take my foot off the gas. Now I've got to work doubly hard. I want to be the best ever spinner in the world, not South Africa, in the world. I always believe that if you set your standards high, you might come a little bit short, but it'll still be great. It won't be okay. It won't be average. I don't want to just be remembered. I want to be remembered. That's all my biggest thing. And did well in the Sri Lanka series as well. Funny enough, the start of my international career, I was actually very handy with a bat. I remember I was walking on my second test. I said, yes, his average is 50. Yeah. Keep that there. Sure, bud. But then, went on. Look, it hasn't been easy. I've had my fair share of downs. There's been many a period where guys have questioned my selection and stuff like that. But I never doubted myself. I know what I'm capable of. And I also know that as sportsmen, it's going to happen. If everyone was top of this game, cricket would be boring, let's be honest. Everyone will average 100. Then no one will take wickets because you can't get the guy out. So, look, I just persevered, and I always believed in my hard work, because people also forget, by working hard, it's not going to happen tomorrow night. It's not going to happen the day after. It might not happen this year, but it might happen next year. But when it happens, it will happen. So it's just about persevering through certain storms. I think also mentally, I was prepared to do the ugly work, the dirty work. For me, my wickets was always created by the amount of maidens I bowled. And still to date, I still try and just bowl maidens. Look, there'll be an odd time where you get the opportunity where you can go and try and be a strike bowler if conditions are in your favor, which is normal. But even that too, I'm still trying to bowl maintenance, because if I'm bowling maintenance, I'm bowling my best ball consistently. You know, and guys think, no, I must bowl top or off, then bowl this. No, don't. That's what's human. You can only last so long, especially in the longer format of the game. And you've got 5 days to bowl. You don't have 2 days or 3 days where you're enforcing a result and you've got to earn the right to do certain things. People say, bowl your style. I'm like, guys, I need to master my stock ball before I think about anything else. You know what I'm saying? And I always maintain, when you're at training, yes, you're going to have the odd joke or two with your friends, which is important because you need an avenue and an outlet, but make it constructive. You know, quality is better than quantity, but quantity with quality is so much better for you. And I always believe in training alone because I don't like distractions. I'll train with the Dolphins, but in the morning I come and bowl, and afterwards I have to bowl because that's how it is. And if I feel I haven't done that routine, then psychologically I'm blown. I'm thinking, is it going to go right? And I start doubting myself because I haven't done my work, if you get what I'm saying. And it doesn't make me right or wrong. This is just my way of doing how I do it. And I always elude stuff to a comrades runner. If he's going to run 20 Ks, how's he going to run 90 Ks? At optimal. What's your point of running? You want to do the best time and finish it in the best time. If you're running under a benchmark, how do you expect to be at that rate running the same speed as that? You're never going to do it. So in order for me to bowl 40 overs on the trot and be at my peak, I need to bowl 60 overs at practice. So my body's conditioned, because pressure takes a lot out of you. Physically, mentally, emotionally. And it makes you think. And when you think, you're actually exerting energy. And how do you stay calm? You stay calm because you know where the ball's going to land. You know, that sort of thing. And if you don't know where the ball's going, good luck to you. You know what I'm saying from that perspective. So I think you also need guidance while you're young, because you can practice for long, but do you know what you're doing?
That's true.
You know? And I watch a lot of videos. I'm fortunate enough to have played against some of the best in the world and asked information. I'm like, I love to pick people's brains. I love to hear how they think. I love being a leader in terms of my own skill. You know, I want the next generation to come through. I love spoon bowling. You can sit and talk spoon for me for hours. You know, if you wake me up at 2 in the morning, I'll bowl spoon for you. Wipe the sleep on my eyes and we go. You know, like, that's the passion that I have towards sport. And look, in terms of where I am right now, I probably train harder than I did 5 years ago. People say that when you get older, you should taper down. I don't believe that. I love what I do. I want to be better than what I was 5 years ago. And every day I want to get better. Whether it's from a fitness, skill, mental, emotional, whatever. Even as a human being, if I can get 1% better and it's going to impact my game, I want to do it. You know, I'm never going to be the polished article, because if I was, I need to walk away from cricket. I always believe every day is a new learning, no matter who you are in this world. Because the day you stop learning is the day you probably die. That's the truth. Yeah, look, I still have a lot of ambitions. I still want to play for another 10 to 12 years. And that's why, like, even with the fitness, I'm quite pedantic. I don't want to go to that dark stage in my life again where it's hard to come out of. From a mental space, it's hard. You have no idea. It's tough. And those of you who have been through that will understand. I've got many mental scars. I probably don't show it, but that's why I do what I do. And another thing is one of my biggest traits in life is I don't care what people think of me. What I think of myself is what means the most to me. If I see myself in a negative form, then I need to change something. I'm a positive person. I'm a straightforward person. And I also like honesty back, hence why I like to give honesty. Sometimes it's not nice to hear certain things, but in the long run, it's the best thing for you. I always believe that. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to the years ahead. I still feel I have so much more to give, and I want to keep giving that through experiences, performances, leadership. I still want to captain my country on a regular basis. I still want to win a World Cup for my country and be player of the tournament. I still want to get the most test wickets for South Africa realistically. I know I may not get there, but that's my goal. If I get 300, I'll be more than happy. Because if you told me that, 7 years ago, that I'm going to get 300 test wickets, I'd probably say, yeah, I'll take that. So it also keeps me hungry, keeps me wanting more, because I don't want to take my foot off the pedal. There's a lot of competition around, and I love competition because it motivates me, and I think I'm also happy for those people to give advice though, because if I'm giving advice and they're doing something right, I need to go do something about my game to get better, you know? And I always believe that with people. If you're a good human being, you'll go places. If you're not doing stuff with the right intention, you're going to hold yourself back. And yeah, it's been a lovely journey so far, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it sounds. I've been sitting here listening.
Look, I can go on for hours. There's
Yeah.
so much that I probably haven't said because there's so much that I want to say.
Yeah.
But like, look, I don't like sympathy. That's one thing I don't like. Even now that I'm injured, people are like, sorry, everything happens for a reason. I'm okay. I'm breathing. I'm alive. I've got another day to get better. I'm okay. You know, empathy is nice at times, but I don't like it. I'd rather have someone say, you're going to be fine. I'm a positive guy. I love giving positivity because I know what it's like to be in a negative space. And it's hard. It's tough. You look at guys who are not well and you feel for them, you know? So similarly, just give positive energy. You put positive things out in the universe, you attract positivity back to you in life, in anything. And I'm in sport, but I'm sure guys in an office job work as hard, you know? It's not easy, but the main thing is you got to love what you do. If you don't love what you do and you're waking up and you're not passionate, just walk away. Otherwise it will humble you very quickly.
Yeah.
I'm being honest. I've seen it too many times before. And I even said, as much as I want to play for 10 years, if I wake up tomorrow and I don't want to bowl a cricket ball ever again, I've got to respect the game for what it's respected me for the last 18 years of my life, professional cricket. You know? Yeah, like I said, I still want to dominate wherever I play. I still want to win trophies. As much as I have individual ambitions, as a team, I love the Proteas and I love the Dolphins dearly. Like, Dolphins is my home. Proteas is my country. Regardless of whatever goes on, it's me. It's a part of me, you know? So I always want them to do well. Even if I'm not a part of the team or whatever, I still want them to do well because I'm affiliated to them. It means something to me. You know, how can I play for a team that I don't support? It just doesn't make sense. And yeah, I want to encourage youngsters. You know, I also want to be honest, in Indian communities and some of the player of color communities, sport is not an avenue that your parents are happy to let you go in. It's the reality of the situation. Everyone thinks education, you must go become a doctor, this or that or that. You don't know how good your child can be if you don't expose them to various. And look, I know there's certain struggles in life which I totally respect, but I think it's also for me to be a role model to change the perception. We don't know who's the next big star unless they're exposed to a lot of things and get the correct tools for success. By that I mean equipment, opportunities, coaching, all of that stuff. So, you know, it's a huge thing for me is to urge the parents to also allow the kids to, you know, pursue that, whilst still doing your academics so that you have something to fall back on. You know, it's important nonetheless to still have an academic background. Why? Because it gives you the tools for when you're doing an interview to know how to speak, to not feel nervous, to know what to say, to not say something wrong and be misconstrued into another manner, and that's another headache on your hand, you know. So yeah, and I also want to make people believe that hard work does pay off and that God does exist. I'm a big religious and spiritual person, you know, firsthand in the change room, and I don't expect everyone to go and pray, but have some sort of guidance along the way, whether you look to your parents, whether you look to God, whether you look to someone, just have a guidance and direction, because they're your sense of calm, they're your sense of reason. And for me especially, my affiliation with God is that when times are tough, He helps me think clearly and rationally, where if I had no guidance, I feel my mind would be cluttered and I probably wouldn't be able to do the things that I do under pressure, you know, from that perspective. So yeah, and also sacrifices. You know, guys think cricket's a glitz and glam lifestyle. Yes, it can be. Don't get me wrong. It can be very lucrative for some, but you don't see the hard work and sacrifices behind closed doors. When guys were going out with their mates, I used to be sitting at home sleeping. Why? Because the next day is a cricket match. I'll never forget. I used to wake up extra early on a Saturday morning, get ready for school cricket. And even if the teacher messaged my dad and said it's cancelled because of rain, I would make my dad drive to the ground, take the covers off, and throw balls to me on a wet wicket. Because it hurt me. That's the one thing I looked forward to the weekend was playing school cricket. And you're a G, like, walking around with your kit there, So those are the small things in life that you got to look forward to. And whilst there's a bigger picture, don't forget your smaller pieces of the puzzle. Everyone wants to play for South Africa, but remember, it's about winning game. In my case, for the Dolphins. If you win games for the Dolphins, that will take care of itself. And it must never be a case of you never worked hard. It must be a case of you're never good enough. Always tell people there's a big difference. Because through hard work, you'll know your value. And even if you work hard and never get there, you gave yourself the best opportunity. And if you're not giving yourself the best opportunity, then you can't point fingers. Like, one thing that irks me is like, yeah, if I got the opportunity, you got the guy's holding a beer in his hand. And I'm like, champ, no problem. If that's what you feel, I'm happy for you. That sort of thing. Like, it really irks me because people don't see the hard work behind closed doors. They don't know what it's like to burn 1,000 calories in the gym before you go through your training session. They don't know what it's like to not eat a burger, not eat a pizza, not eat fried chips. You got to eat monotonous food. But I love what I do. My body is my temple. And without my body, I can't play. So people need to understand, being professional, it lasts so long, but you got to make the sacrifices now. And one day when I retire, I can eat as much as I want. Then I don't care. I can live my life, right? And if that seemed enjoyment, so be it. But now I'm enjoying my life. I love what I do, and I'm respecting the game as it respects me.
Kesh, there's been too much knowledge, so many gems you've dropped. Thanks so much for making the time. This podcast one was very long, which is very good, and I've enjoyed it because a lot of people will learn as much as they can from this, and we never get the opportunity to get insight in terms of how guys like yourself think, what they went through, and thanks so much for making the time. And we'll probably have another one during the season just to make people aware and stuff in terms of what's going on in our change room.
No, thanks for having me. Look, I'd love to sit and talk, Mark, and talk here the whole day. There's so much that I'd love to share because I feel like if I can influence 1% of people, then everything's worth it in the end. And looking forward to the next one. Hope to see you guys come support us. The Dolphins and the Proteas coming up. There's a lot of cricket, a lot of action-packed stuff. So looking forward to seeing you guys there and come say hi to us.
Thanks, Kesh.
Cool.
Lekker.